This is Near Enough to Hell, a Ghost of El Paso story, part 16. Wes is not here this week, and that fits because Mother Ruth is presently whipping monks in Clear Springs. So we will be focusing mostly on the El Paso and its immediate environs, factoring in the fact that Graves has been involved with the mountains, the El Paso Tin and the El Paso Tin Smelting and Mining Company. There we go. I got it. Uh, Daniel's back though. We're happy to have Diamond Dave this week. We ended going into the dusk phase. So before we go into that process, let's kind of recap the state of our hunters and the state of affairs in El Paso. Daniel, did you get a chance to watch the last session? Okay, no, that's totally fine. Let's have Andrew and Graves relate what happened to them last session. So, Kayla, let's start with you. Could you regale us with what happened with Andrew previously?
Well, I had a conversation, and that was about it. But however, it was a very entertaining conversation because it was with Lady Antonia about the state of affairs within El Paso and why Andrew really doesn't like her that much. Uh, so far, have come to the terms of agreement that we are, in fact, on the same side. So we shall be collaborating, which is all fine and well.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. You presently have the condition arm in a sling.
It won't go
Um,
away.
indeed. Graves, what did you get up to last time?
Well, I followed Mel, my second favorite reporter. Um, got involved in some shit I wasn't really supposed to be involved in. Followed her up to the tin
Mm-hmm.
smelting. What I
You got
can't
it. You
ever.
did it.
The tin smelting
And mining
place
company, yeah.
and mining company.
The
I always feel like
campsite,
there's
yeah, that
another
one.
word. I
Yeah.
don't know. And so I followed her up there, started talking to the foreman. There was a mine collapse,
Yes.
and
Yes, there
I'm in
was.
it. I'm
Oh
in
yeah,
it.
that's right. I
I'm
did.
stuck in a cave.
That's right. We did have the mine collapse. And that's your night activity. Yeah, I was getting out.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's correct. I forgot. That's juicy. You're
Yeah.
already stacked with three full conditions too, because you
Yeah,
got
I'm in a
oh
mine.
gosh, Omen of the Bricolakas, and you left the dead alone. Oh, I'm gonna eat well during this night phase. Lord, thank you for this feast. Um, and looking at Diamond Dave, though, you're still on your best behavior in terms of conditions. So let's take a look at our current slate of threats. We do have the Ghost Riders of Sawtooth Ridge, the grieving town of Clear Springs, and the Blue Boy, which was just introduced and no investigation has been done into it yet, so no developments there. Um, as for the Ghost Riders of Sawtooth Ridge, you presently have 5 clues for that on a complexity 4 threshold question. So we'll see where that goes. And Clear Springs, you only have 2 clues. So technically, the question could be answered, just at a penalty. Mother Ruth is in Clear Springs right now. She had gone there and spoken with some more of the ghostly inhabitants. And we're just not going to focus on the events in Clear Springs. We're going to focus on the events of Franklin Mountain and the town of El Paso. So let's get back into the dusk phase. Marshall, are you planning to do an assemblage tonight?
Yes, please.
All right. Um, Diamond Dave, are you going to be in attendance?
Um, I don't think I don't think I ever went as Arkansas McGee, so I think he'll definitely go to be on his best behavior, and he'll do his dusk move to bring something to bring some information.
Okay, what is that dust move?
The saloon.
Oh, let me take a look at that. Yeah, just because it's been a minute.
It's down at the bottom.
Ah,
I got
yes.
to.
Each dusk phase, you choose one. Learn something interesting about an active threat, or gain something a drunk patron left behind, or use as a tip.
I'm gonna do the previous,
Mhm.
and I think I'll go with the Ghost Riders. That's what I was focusing on. That's what
Mhm.
Dave was focusing on before last week.
Mhm.
So we'll try to get another one for the Ghost Riders.
Yeah, you get to ask me a question, any question you like about that threat, and I will either answer truthfully or in the form of a clue.
And our question for that is
We're still in the first one of just determining why they want um to
oh
get
so
Jimmy.
so I remember I was gonna that day the day phase that I missed I was gonna
Mm.
try to find out some information on Jimmy Pike. And
Mm.
so I think the dance hall girls, the patrons of the saloon. I think Dave has been trying to like listen and ask subtle questions about Jimmy Pike. And so just something like if he's around El Paso, where could he be laying low? Or who could he be working for? Or what secret identity could he have taken on? Those are the kind of questions that he's trying to find.
I will ask you, per the mechanics, to give me one specific question to ask me. I like where your head's at. Just pick one to ask me.
Let's go with like a better idea of what he looks like. So that, like, has anybody fit his description?
Yeah. Okay. Like a visual appearance of Jimmy Pike.
Yeah.
Let me take a look here.
I think we had a picture. I think somebody found a picture.
But someone did find a picture, but I mean, like, obviously that was taken like a couple, years ago. Yeah. I could be mean and just read to you his description off of his profile, but I'm not going to do that. I'll give you a clue because I already have a clue in mind. Jimmy Pike is you hear a rumor that he is actually half Apache and was raised by the Apache, which is interesting when you consider the fact that the Texas Rangers were hunting Apache. So that's the clue I'll give you for that. And going back to the assemblage, it's been a minute since we did one of these, Marshall. So where will it be held?
God.
Is Dave providing the venue?
Presumably, yeah.
Go to it's an off night.
Yeah, do it at the cantina or dance hall. Yeah,
more people will be there. So yeah, let's do it. I'll set up a podium and everything.
Hell yeah!
Open up the beaches.
Go ahead and note down the 3 threats we have as under the active threats. And Diamond Dave will be in attendance, and unfortunately, Graves will not be able to attend. But you and Diamond Dave can each name a side character who will also be attending this evening.
Is Lady Antonia still alive?
Yeah.
Yes.
I named Lady Antonio.
All right.
I forget their first name, but for the Ghostwriters of Sawtooth Ridge, I believe there is a Shields family.
Annette Shields. Her brother Eli is the gravekeeper, I believe, but Annette's the one who Lady Ruth spoke with. So you'll invite Annette? Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'll invite Annette.
Awesome. And of course, I can bring along any other side characters I want. It's been a while. I'm not going to narrate them all now. It'll show up. But I think just to go ahead and put this out there, like, it's been a while since we have had Clarkson around. Marshall's beau.
Yeah.
You haven't been around in a minute.
It's been busy. We've been busy.
Can I ask you, because he is a member of the Vigilance Committee, technically, like, have you two been like around one another? It's just been off screen, or has that also been reflected in the narrative? Like, you've barely interacted in several, days and nights now.
It's mostly been off screen, but however, I do think, like, just because of how much Harrington has been on the screen, it still like implies like there is like it's more or less like every other day that they actually encounter each other rather than every day. So
sure.
Like it's been busy. I don't think Clarkson is much for investigation for mysteries and more or less of just like getting things done. Like,
makes sense. Very good. Let's paint the scene about the Wounded Knight. Let's do hunting during the Wounded Knight. Hunters only hunt during the day and outright refuse to go after feral hogs, raccoons, foxes, coyotes, bobcats, or any other creature that needs to be hunted at night. What harrowing tales do hunters tell one another about those foolish enough to hunt after dark during the wounded night?
There are stories about monstrous humanoid almost versions of these. Like you're going after a feral hog, you think you are, but it's so much bigger. It has sort of these articulation of its limbs that it shouldn't have. And, Jimmy's been missing, not Jimmy Pike, a different one, for a few days. And I don't know, it's were creatures.
Love me a were creature.
I think the animals that like let's go with coyote, like a big pack of coyote. They typically make a lot of noise, but now they're so quiet, like they don't make any noise. And several hunters have been out and realized that they're totally surrounded by this quiet pack of coyote, and they were lucky to get out alive.
I think in addition to the wild animals that seemingly have taken on hunting their usual hunters, there are those who still hunt during the wounded nights, but they don't hunt your typical game. They hunt people instead.
The most dangerous game, one might say. Love it. We know that there's going to be an assemblage tonight in attendance with Diamond Dave, but Graves is off in a collapsed mine. So that settles the affairs of what the hunters will be getting up to. Now let's talk about the unseen. We're going to do the Gemstone Gambling Saloon tonight. Since there's only 3 of us, I'm going to make the first prompt on that for everyone. The second prompt will be for B, the third for Daniel, and the fourth for Chaotic. Let's take a 10-minute break to think about our upcoming scenes during the night phase and the unseen. Then we will dive right in. The night phase begins with the unseen, the Gemstone Gambling Saloon. This drinking establishment has more of a focus on gambling than drinking, but the bartender will gladly serve whiskey and other spirits to customers as they try their hands at games of chance. One such gambler this evening is Johnny Franklin. To paint the scene for everyone, Johnny makes most of his money gambling and cheating. What about his appearance subtly reveals this to the keen observer?
He has a pair of glasses that he keeps. He puts on, takes off, takes on, puts on, takes off, and he calls them like his peepers. I gotta see my, I gotta get my peepers on. But the glasses are a little odd.
I think in general, like as these games are coming about and like he knows he's going to win this next hand and whatnot, he is often like sort of saying like charitable compliments to whoever he is playing against, just so the win hurts a little bit less against them.
How nice. He always wears long sleeves. He never rolls them up, never, takes it off. Like some cats will, you know, kind of disrobe when things get a little sweaty, but not him. He's always got these long sleeves he's fiddling with.
I love it. An assemblage regarding the state of affairs of the township of El Paso. We are gathered this fine El Paso evening in the Red Rock Cantina and Dancehall. I would imagine it's the dance hall. It's the one with the stage and like larger space. And stepping up onto the stage proper to give an introductory speech is Marshal Andrew Harrington. You must give an opening speech related to the state of affairs in the township of El Paso.
do
You look
this
out
to
over the
myself.
crowd. Yes, you do. You look out over the
Yeah.
crowd. You see various faces. You see Diamond Dave. You see Lola Navas. You see Clarkson around in the back as well. Various other figures, Lady Antonia lurking in the shadows. But a hush falls over the room, and all eyes turn to look at you.
It's been a while since we've had one of these assemblages. And well, the reason for that is because most of the cases that the Vigilance Committee has been working on have been going relatively smoothly. Uh, in current days, uh, we have come to our attention that there are ghost rangers out in Sawtooth Ridge. Clear Springs has been facing some issues. But so far, those are the two main things of our concern. It seems that we are on the latter half of the Wounded Knights, so things are going well. In terms of town business, however, it seems to have come to attention that we, in the midst of the tin mines, that there is actually silver in it. So that will be a boon to our town. As well as, and like Harrington keeps on going about like various very mundane things. He's a little bit bored by this sort of like speech that he's giving. Like he's doing this to like almost placate things, as like he sort of ends the speech uh, uh of the there is going to be a sort of co-ownership of the mines with Lady Antonia. And I think that kind of gets a little bit of a rackle from the crowd of like, what's going on with that?
Um, you actually see, well, actually, no, we'll follow the move text first, which is to say that we're going to have you make the roll. This will be plus presence.
Mm-hmm. Do I have anything in my personal quarters? Because I really want to do well on this.
I will note, by the way, the mines you mentioned, you're not speaking about the tin mines, you're speaking about the old mines underneath El Paso, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I forget where the silver was found.
Yeah, under El Paso. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was, yeah.
Yeah. Not really. I don't really have anything that I would want to use because I technically could use the corset, but I don't want to use it.
Go ahead and roll.
Jesus Christ. That's a 6 with my +3.
Diamond Dave.
So
from your position in the audience, what are you seeing? What are the reactions on the face of the crowd? What's the general note of rancorous discontent that's not spilling over, but you begin witnessing that it's simmering at the very least?
I think at the mention of silver, like that, like flipped the switch in the crowd, and I think because like some people like own their property and some people don't, and so they're thinking about, like, the whole town is thinking about, like, how do I start digging into my cellar? So they and I think if this was a secret, people are shocked by it and are immediately starting to get greedy. If it wasn't a secret, then people are like angry that now outsiders are going to come in and dig up all their silver. So I think they honed in on the silver.
Yeah, things are getting pretty like loud. There's not quite over like shouting. It's not reaching a mob. But already as you're speaking, there's a bit of this, discontent. People are, murmuring. A couple of people are remarking on the fact that it's like, why the fuck are we talking about silver mines when like this wounded knight business is still going on? Like, is that really the priority of the Vigilance Committee? Aren't we supposed to be doing this whole ghost thing? It's getting a little difficult to wrangle, and that's when the bullets come through the window as gunfire cracks out. Glass shatters. A couple of people like shriek out and dive to the floor. You see more like one or two people in attendance definitely take a bullet to the shoulder and drop to the ground in a flurry of cacophonous gunfire that's reporting from outside to fire within.
Shit.
And then in the like momentary aftermath, the tang of gunpowder still in the air and the wood dust, as the dust is literally settling, you hear from outside a rifle getting like reloaded. You hear like the break action, you hear the cocking, you hear the jingle of ammunition, and then a voice comes out through the night, and you hear, "Come on out, you coward, Jimmy Pike! I know you're in there." And the Ghost Riders stand outside, seemingly quite confused, and begin to reload and to storm the cantina because they believe Jimmy Pike is inside.
Oh God, Andrew Harrington has to rush out to face this.
Also, we're not going to mark a mask. All right, very good.
No.
We'll actually first. So, Diamond Dave, when the bullets start flying, what do you do?
I tell Stretch the bouncer to get the girls upstairs.
I'm going to ask you to make the night move. I think this will generally cover your actions in just getting, people, your people moved, and also, factoring your own presence amidst bullets that are flying. What are you afraid of happening here?
He's afraid that one of his local celebrity dancers is going to get hurt after he'd been hurt from the corset.
And it's worse than that. You're going to take a bullet.
Ow.
Mm-hmm. You are going to roll with I think presence makes sense here. It's just kind of like commanding the space, and even in your own way, if of getting to get the flow of the crowds and not impede your own movement. I don't think being on your best behavior would impact the fact that you're quite literally doing something that is good behavior, even. So you can roll flat. Otherwise, if you're backing down, it just you're gonna get grazed by a bullet.
Worse than that.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and tell you I'm going to mark a mask later on.
Okay.
But I did the same thing. I got a 3, but I got a 4.
4, incredible. Yeah. You're in the middle of shouting, losing a bit of your composure, trying to get your girls to safety, when the next report of gunfire starts. And thankfully, most people had hit the deck and are low to the ground as the bullets just whiz overhead. But you were standing out in the open. And Lola cries out like Dave, get down. And then you feel a bullet slam dead center of your chest as you slump against the bar and look down and see the crimson begin to spill down your fine shirt. And the world gets a little spinny. But you're going to mark a mask, you said. So, all right, we'll come back to that. Graves, on the other hand, in a completely different environment, you are in the dark. You've been trapped in a mine. We established that the collapse was not as severe as it could have been that we witnessed prior to a mask being marked. You have been able to faintly hear through the rubble the sounds of other miners. Clearly, people don't know that you are alive, so they're not actively digging after you, but you have been able to like hear like the aftermath of the collapse, of people moving in and out, the shouting, and it's very muffled. You're in a bit of a spot, to say the least. And not to mention, you are in the dark. However, because you have Death's Gloaming Gaze, you can see perfectly in blackness, and your composure and vitality are increased by 1 during the night phase. That's super fun. So you see with perfect clarity in this blackness. What do you do?
The first thing I do is is there anyone else down here with me that is alive?
No, we had established that
Okay, I wanted to
you
make
had
sure.
gotten people out
Mhm.
and that you were pretty thorough and capable in your job. You are only down here with corpses.
Well, that's convenient. Also, the corpses are just sort of like nodded to as if they are alive, but we're just passing on the street like, okay, cool, cool, cool. And I am going to try to go towards the noise and see if there is a crack in like the rubble or anything like that to try to start just sort of like hand digging my way out of here. Uh that's the first move is to try to find, like, since I can hear, maybe there's like a, I don't know, a hole that I can, or like a little rat, get my way out of.
You will find very quickly, I think, that there is simply no feasible way you could hand dig yourself out of the situation.
Yeah,
The rubble, where you can get your hands into it, is too densely packed. There's not like given purchase. You could tug and pull at some rocks, but that might trigger a further cascade of other collapse. Um, you see no signs in the immediate area that you're in here that you could like pry open or push through.
Well, then I'm going to follow Diamond Dave's suggestion in the chat. I'm going to just go deeper. I'm going to see if there is a way to wind around this.
You turn your attention into the crystal clear, lightless black behind you, and you descend. Meanwhile, back at the unseen bee, trying his luck at poker, Johnny heads to a small round table and joins 3 other men playing cards. What item does Johnny win from one of the players who ran out of funds to cover the bet?
I think it's actually like uh, a pistol. It's a gun. And it's old, but it's really well taken care of. And it's clear that the player who is very reluctantly betting this dueling pistol that everybody knows he shot a man with maybe last week, he might as well have been playing strip poker. This dude's damn near naked. This is his last thing that he has to bet. And he almost walks away, but everyone else at the table also has guns. And he owes them money.
Harrington, you push open the doors of the dancing hall onto the street. The red moon hangs in the sky, swollen and a sanguine bright color that almost lends an ethereal glow to the exterior. The street is mostly clear. You can actually see people who have like who are braving a glimpse out of windows or doors to see the commotion. Others who have fled around nearby corners. Some peek around, others still fleeing further down the street. But standing outside the establishment is the trio of Texas Rangers. Captain Carl Vanderhorn at their front, the one who spoke aloud. And in the night, in the darkness of the night, even beneath the red moon, their faces, their broad brimmed hats just create like a veil of thick shadow. though their eyes have a slight luminescence to them, and the bullet holes that riddle their bodies are just creating a carpet of green fog that flows out from them in wisps and raspy breaths. One of them at the back, Rip Ford, kind of like stumbles as if feverish for a moment, but gives like a low growl and a soft, like choked sob for a moment before it transitions into like a cackling like laugh, and racks the shot. And another report of gunfire is going off as you're like stepping out. What do you do?
I call out to them, Rangers, there is no need to be firing off tonight. There is no Jimmy Pike here.
Captain Vanderhorn levels his eyes at you and he says, "You're hiding him. You, you, you look like you look like Jimmy Pike. No, no, you don't. But I saw him go in there. You can't hide him. We have a legal right to see him hanged."
You do, but he's not here. You did not see him go in.
I'm gonna ask you to make the night move here with sensitivity because you're talking to ghosts.
Mhm.
What are you afraid of happening here?
I'm afraid of getting shot because I'm yelling at ghosts.
Well, it's worse than that, because how is it worse than that?
Die.
I know, right? No, no, I think it's worse than that just because in their fervor, like their bullet, like they're gonna get, past you, and a whole lot of innocent bystanders are about to get like gunned down in their confused haze of rage and trauma. Like these ghosts are clearly very confused. Do you still wish to try and talk them down?
Yeah, I do wish to talk them down.
Okay. Go ahead.
This is going to be a little bit of a long shot.
I'm listening.
I do have a gold pocket watch with a daisy pattern. I think because you described the red moon being bright in the sky, I think just because it is a very shiny pocket watch, like just hanging out of like my coat pocket, it is a little bit distracting. So like instead of them focusing on the people inside, they are focusing on me, but it is a bit of a stretch.
That is a bit of a stretch. I don't think I can agree to that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let's go. I don't understand it. That's a 10 total.
Wow. Fuck yeah, dude. Inside the dance hall, though, you marked a mask, Diamond Dave. Which mask did you invoke? You're muted.
All I was saying was, I think I think I already have this one. If I can go ahead and narrate it.
Yeah, I was about to ask you if you'd like to narrate that now.
As we see Diamond Dave getting Stretch and Lola to get the girls to safety. It says narrate a flashback to when tragedy struck, resigning you to a life of toil, and this is with the girl, not Diamond Dave. And so the first one was it showed her living on a small little subsistence level farm between a plantation and the Mississippi River, and we knew the girl because she had like these striking, really light blue eyes, and so now we see her a little bit older, and she and her mom and a bunch of her siblings are boarding a big riverboat. It's not at the farm anymore, and they all look like they're carrying everything they own in like these ragged bags. And as they're getting on the boat, it's pretty clear that the dad is not there, that their father, who was the farmer, has passed away, we're assuming. And now the mom has secured jobs for them on the riverboat. And we see them working in the laundry it's part of the boat. Cramped quarters, very hot. And these kids and the mom are now working in the laundry.
since you bumped up your result, here's what happens. You are relatively in control. The situation's already pretty chaotic, but you are a commanding presence and your people are fleeing upstairs to safety. The patrons who are attending the assemblage are kind of like low to the ground. You're moving with purpose and efficiency. So when Marshal Harrington runs towards the front of the building when there's a brief lull and then the gunfire starts back up anew, you're a little surprised, but when you feel a bullet hit you, and you stagger backwards and like slam up against a wall. It was like a brute force punch to your chest, and you look down and there's just like this hole in your like fine little suit jacket, just that was blown in there from this round, and you don't see blood, and you look under your coat and pull out your rather thick copy of A Gentleman's Guide to Business, all the ins and outs of shaking hands, making deals, and most importantly, making connections by Dr. Jonas Bartmas of the University of Helsinki, which seems to have, with its sheer density, stopped a bullet. And you unfortunately have that item destroyed, but it saved your life.
I was only on the second chapter.
And then Graves, you're wandering deep beneath the earth. What are you looking for?
A fork in the path, anywhere, frankly. I think that's okay. I have a wild, this is a wild pull. So
I'm listening.
tell me if this is like not the correct usage of this made up move.
Oh.
Would you say pestilence could maybe summon insects of some sort?
To what end?
I am hoping that like they could, like how like, things want to get out. I don't have any living thing down here with me. God knows I can't command one. And maybe they would want to get out. Like this is like I said, this is like a really left field thing that I'm like trying to, and I imagine this is actually going through Graves's mind as well. Like, okay, like, is this even possible? Because, or do I need to actually like keep looking and like literally roll like night move investigations to get out of here? What's the vibe?
I have something else in mind
Please tell me.
because you're thinking, and that's
Yes.
at what point, Graves, do you notice the whispering?
I I think it takes a few seconds to register as whispering and not the movement of the air through the mine. But pretty quickly because everything down here is dead. Right?
Hmm. Indeed, one might say. Those whispers begin to filter in, whispering of feeling abandoned, of being unmoored. Father, mother, help me. We're trapped in the dark. We're so alone. Why did you leave us at the river's edge? And yawning up from this blackness, there are the restless dead miners from the past 6 years who died in the dark, alone, sightless and scared. And now their shepherd is wandering through these tunnels alone. And they are restless because you abandoned them. You walk this mortal earth, and In your perfect clarity of vision, you don't see ghostly figures, but shades, like the way that light casts a shadow, that stretch and distort, rippling against the rocks, their forms broken and twisted, and hands of shadow that reach out, hoping to touch, hoping to grasp, hoping to drag you down with them, maybe hoping you'll take them to salvation. Who knows? But the point is, you're not just death. You are in a vessel. Death will survive this encounter, but the vessel can get seriously harmed. As you know that you are down here with the restless dead who felt abandoned by you, what do? They're beginning to get grabby.
Yeah, there's a moment where literally just death is like, well, this is a non-issue. These are just these are the people I shepherd. These are the entities that I deal with all the time. And then there is that sharp wave of fear that is still kind of new to Graves, but not new to Bartholomew, who is like, I'm going to die down here with them. So I'm going to get the fuck out. That is the instinct.
Oh, so that it's Graves's panic and fear that's taking the wheel.
Yes.
What are you? I asked this question to Graves the person. What are you afraid of happening here?
That I'm going to get killed in a mine. I'm gonna die down here a second time for realsies and be one of these fuckers.
How is it worse than that? That's a great starting point. I will take suggestions as I think as well. How is it worse than Graves becoming then dying? Yeah, this is effectively character retirement to start off with.
Yeah.
I think the ghosts are going to hold him accountable. They blame
Graves. Like death is going to move on, but the spirit of the vessel will be punished. Ooh, that is worse than that. That's great. That's great. The dead don't know the difference.
Why would they?
No.
Why would it matter?
They often get confused.
They do. Yikes.
If you want to go through with it, this will look like you'll be rolling with sensitivity. I understand the perilous. I mean, you've got mass to spare, but if you did decide to back down and try a different approach, what that would look like would effectively be Graves takes over, runs blindly into the dark, and it's going to put you at a. You're going to be in a more dangerous situation, but you'll avoid this immediate one. There will be a condition involved in there, probably.
Oh man!
If you back down.
Oh man. I think it's kind of fun to have to deal with the consequences of being in a mortal body, because death doesn't have to a lot of times. A lot of times it's fine. I think this is extreme enough to not back down. So I'm rolling with sensitivity.
Yeah, sensitivity. Because you let the dead alone, it will be disadvantage.
Well, it wasn't going to be great beforehand, so we'll see. Woo! That is a 6. That's a 6. We're rolling so good tonight, folks. Oh!
Meanwhile, back in the unseen, Daniel. Sure seems like this poker table is being kind to Johnny. What trick is Johnny using to successfully cheat tonight?
We see him like looking at his cards, and then he says, "Where's my peepers?" And when he looks at his cards, he puts on these glasses that are actually like long range glasses, like they're like tiny little binoculars, and he's looking at the other players' cards from like reflections on mirrors that he's got set up. He's not really looking at his cards. He's looking at their cards. So he's cheating by using mirrors and his glasses.
MARSHAL, you rolled a 10. What happens?
I think I think the Rangers put down their guns, like lower them and whatnot. They are standing there staring at me, perhaps growling a little bit more because they want to do that.
So
And
they've
I
lowered
think,
their weapons and they look. Oh, okay, continue. Yeah.
yeah, and I think by happenstance, Harrington doesn't like hear it because, of course, why would they hear it? It's the Wounded Knight, and coyotes are silent, but it does attract the attention of these ghost riders, of like them thinking that they saw Jimmy Pike down the road running off from them.
Mm, I like it. In their confused state, yeah, they just begin like, running off,
Mm-hmm.
almost immediately having forgotten this, leaving you standing at the threshold of a sight of some chaos. You can hear a couple of soft moans and pain from people who took a bullet. Thankfully, no, nothing lethal. It looks like a shoulder wound, maybe an arm graze or two from a couple of the
Mm-hmm.
people who had it worst. Most of it's just like people who were close to the window. The glass kind of scratched at them.
Mm-hmm.
But as they disappear into the distance, um, you enter. You
Yeah.
go back inside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I go back inside helping people who've been shot,
Mm-hmm.
like trying to like help pressurize the wound. I'm assuming like like there's someone here with medical knowledge because I doubt Harrington like has much more than, oh, that there you have a hole in a person that shouldn't be there level of medical knowledge.
You know what I'll say, just to keep the spirit of the move, is that you did invite Annette Shields, and she's this
Mm,
homesteader, and I think she's got like the kind of like the hospitality knack, right? Like where she's
mhm,
like you can help people out. So,
mhm.
um, yeah, why don't we just do the day move for you then? I think that that's less perilous, being that just the 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 natural consequence that seems obvious being that just people not
Or mad.
succumbing. Yeah, that you're afraid of people being badly wounded. Yeah.
Hmm.
You can do this with composure at advantage. And I'm not going to give you disadvantage from your arm being in a sling because I mean you have multiple hands that can help as well.
Hmm.
But and then because you're using a net, you get advantage on the move since she's going to help you care for people as you're busying yourself.
Oh shit. That's a 12.
Incredible. Um, hmm. Yeah, go ahead and just kind of like describe the scene as it unfolds with you helping people with Annette's help.
I think it's a stark contrast of what was going on earlier, from people muttering about like how Andrew Harrington like literally let the cat out of the bag with about the silver mines, and people literally are thanking Harrington for well defending them, like getting the Ghost Riders to go away and just like helping like sort of like like taking care of the people of their wounds and whatnot. And like honestly, this is a bit why me as a player did not mark the mask when like the Ghost Riders came, because I figured like, well, this is just good PR to actually show the town of El Paso what terrors actually lie outside their doorstep.
I love it. I'm into it, man. I think we see a lot of people almost just like deferring to you even people who were your detractors a couple of weeks ago,
Mhm.
like there's amount of respect. You kind of take the lead in the situation, and Annette's obviously helping, and Annette is well loved around the community. And though
Mhm.
she is an advocate for the ghostwriters, she understands that where there's harm done, there is harm done. And her voice is one of like reminding folks that it's like they are a deeply confused goat. Like they're deeply
Mhm.
confused, like their spirits are in trouble. And that's what Harrington's trying to fix. Like it's like this happens because they have business that needs solving. And that's what the Vigilance Committee is for. And it's great PR for you, man. I'm gonna say here's your advantage. Um, since you rolled a miss on the move itself, you
Mhm.
may pick one of the three active threats. And I will give you a clue for that one.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I think let's see.
And the other two, just because I want to have this advantage because you've been rolling fucking aces. I'm going to give you one clue for one of them. The other two, because they're part of this move as well, you're going to get leads on clues, which I'm going to say function as like my usual go-to. Like I'm going to give you a clue that you can't access, like right until you
Yeah,
like follow up on it. So
yeah.
it's like, yeah,
I think just with the nature of like the ghostwriters being the ones that were attacked, I think I'm going to go with that one.
okay, you're gonna get a clue for the Ghost Riders, and then for the
Yeah.
Lupo and the Grieving Town, I will give you leads that could be followed up on to see if they are actual clues. I'm into it. While Harrington is attending to people in the aftermath, the dust has literally settled. Um, Lady Antonia walks up to you, Dave, and she says, "Good heavens, Mr. McMahan, you seem to have taken a bullet. Though I am curious if you are indeed a spectre yourself on account of the fact that you do not bleed." She has that gleam in her eye where she knows like that you clearly had like you were spared by some means of like miraculous protection, that you're not actually supernatural. But she's being rather coy about it.
He's his jacket's off. He's fiddling with his sleeves, and you can see there's might be a straight razor taped inside of his wrist there. And he's like, it's just shooting ghost bullets. They're just shooting ghost bullets.
You know what I've
Uh,
found in my line of work, Mr. McMahon? That ghosts tend to fire very real bullets, their own corporality notwithstanding.
Look at that.
Look at
He's
that.
he's going through his jacket, and he holds up a small key. He's look at that. Look at this key I found in my jacket. I forgot it was there. Oh, you might be interested in this key, Lady Antonia. He hands it to her, and he said, "This opens the back door to the old marshal's house."
Does it now?
Yeah,
Might I
old
inquire?
marshal gave it to me. The old marshal gave it to me to like if he had any parcels. He didn't want to left on the front porch. I was supposed to put them in the back, but I don't need it anymore. Maybe you could hand this to Marshal Harrington for me.
Indeed, I'm so curious. You have had it all this time. I thought I understood that the old marshal was deceased 6 years by now.
Oh, this is a good jacket. It was a good jacket.
Oh, I see, I see.
It will be a good jacket again. We'll get this patched right up.
Indeed, we shall. Thank you for the token of good faith, Mr. McMahon. I will see this is promptly returned. She tucks it into her bodice.
If it is, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. But then to Lola, he's like, get with Mother Ruth and see if the next assemblage can be at her church.
Mm-hmm.
This is not good for civic functions.
Indeed. Were there any other matters that you wish to discuss, Mr. McMahon? I must say that I'm rather taken by surprise with this evening's cavalcade. You invited me personally, after all. Was there anything you wish to discuss? We have had not much time to speak in recent days.
Just walk with me. So he's going up the stairs to where his office and his apartment is, and he's like, "What's this? The marshal is saying about you being the co-owner of the silver mines here?
Hmm.
That does not seem like the future of El Paso, right?"
No, it was an arrangement I made with Marshal Harrington when I first came into town. I had made a sort of, as you can call it, a list of arrangements I should like. You could call them demands. I wanted to lend my expertise to the cases that were being covered at the time involving that corset business. And as part of it, I had made my desires very clear. I was aware that there was a network of old silver tunnels underneath the town of El Paso that were relatively secret and had been used for all sorts of smuggling and illicit affairs. I wish to have
Yes.
access to them, though it was Marshal Harrington's wording to publicly declare that I have an ownership stake on them. For whatever reason, the Marshal decided to make my private affairs public. That is to be taken up with the Marshal. I was just intending to use them with absolute impunity amongst the other demands I had made.
Most of the land rights here have all been bought up by Miss Reynolds, who you apparently know. She's bought most of the land rights. So and just between you and me, yes, I've used those mines quite a bit for a lot of different functions, non-civic. So I can show you around, but Lady Antonia, it's Mrs. Reynolds that owns the property rights.
Does she now?
Oh yeah, for the
This
train.
is
She bought them for the train terminal that's going to be built not just a few blocks from here.
Yes, I've heard a great deal about that. Though, as I understand it, I've yet to see any construction.
Oh, it's there. There's a warehouse where we've been storing a lot of
Hmm.
the materials and also uh the plans, the maps. I have them in my office. If they're in his office now, he's like pull down map and shows the expansion. Here's where the terminal's going to be. Here's where we are now. And let me orient you to the map. And then El Paso's going to go that way. Like it's going to be this time and 5 or 6 years from now, it's going to be booming. The silver mines might even help now that I think about
Oh,
it.
Mr. McMahan, I assure you, if Miss Reynolds has her way, El Paso will be booming much sooner than 5 or 6 years. Meanwhile, back in the mines, Graves,
Yeah.
or rather, I should address you as Death, as the inhabitor of Graves, what does it feel like to die?
Novel at first, because I've never been on this side of the equation before. And then extremely lonely, because there is no death to guide me.
What are the thoughts going through Graves's head as the host body, as he is suffering a most terrible fate? What does he relate to death before death is then alone?
Fear, animal fear, and then anger that this is what death drove him to. Maybe not that he deserved better, but maybe it would have been better to bleed out in the desert than die in a mine. And then death is alone.
Before your awareness fades to the beyond, you're alone for now, but without a host, you assume you're going to go somewhere? Will you die? What does this mean? You've had this terrible omen about the host body dying, that you needed to protect them at all costs. But now you're faced with the great question that so many others have asked you over the centuries of what comes next. And though you've to some degree known the answer for them, never really known the answer for yourself, or if you have known it, you've forgotten it. What does it mean for death to die? What does it mean when there is no death in a land where the veil is already thinned, in in a time when it's practically yawning open wide. And before, like a dismal, sputtering candle flame, death is snuffed out from his brief tenure in El Paso. The ground shakes from the surface, the shriek of metal, a calamitous crash coinciding with a moment of death's death. And as we go up from the mining tunnels back to the surface of the night up on the mountain at the campsite, or rather where the campsite was, because now there is detritus, a couple of sputtering flames, and many corpses, there is out of nowhere an overturned metal train, like passenger car, that looks like as if it just derailed and just passed over, like rolling and leveling this camp. There's no tracks in this area, but it destroyed the camp, and a most eerie fog begins to seep out from the wreckage. And death is dead, and that is a mastermind clue. Unless, of course, you put on a mask.
Oh, you tempt me. You tempt me with this. This late in the game. This late in the fucking game.
I think with this new mastermind clue that we enter in a new threshold.
We do.
We do.
Yep. It would mean that, yeah, it would put us in the siege.
Oh my God. I'm gonna pull a Vin Vox and roll for it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm pulling a Vin. All right. If this is a success, I will not retire Graves. If this is a failure, death is dead.
What are we qualifying as success and failure?
Oh, the like a between success.
Oh, like so if it's 7 or higher.
If it's 7 or higher, death survives. If it's not, that is a 7 exactly. Oh my God. Okay.
I am going to demand that whatever mask you mark, if it's like a narrative one, you got to do it now. You got to do it now. Like it's just too cinematically appropriate not to do it right now.
All right. I wasn't going to mark a narrative one, but now I'm going to.
I mean, I tell you, it's up to you. I'm not going to force your hand, but like,
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I was just being lazy. We won't be lazy now.
Well, I'm looking at your Mask of the Past. I'm like, that next one that's available is almost fitting.
Yep. Narrate a flashback describing how humanity eventually earned your respect. The time doesn't matter. It never does. Humans are always the same. They always try to bargain with me. They beg, they plead. And I can't feel anything about it, really. This is just a fact. I am a fact. But eventually, they stop bargaining like animals. And I remember the first one that didn't fight me, that accepted my hand with dignity. They had died for some other person, some other mortal. They felt they had done a job. Maybe they had. That's none of my business. But when they looked up at me, I saw no fear. I saw a steely acceptance, a refusal to be afraid of me. They weren't seeking my comfort. They weren't fleeing. They took my hand, almost in camaraderie, as I pulled them up out of their mortal frame. And they asked me, "Are you taking her too?" And I look over. No, there's no one else to take. And they were relieved. And I thought, huh, that's interesting. You're different than an animal.
The funny thing about the cloying, desperate dead, especially when it comes to miners who died alone, is they're the opposite end of a certain type of resonant ethereal spectrum, to put it in a way that Lady Antonia might phrase it, which is to say, the dead who died in the darkness seeking the light, like many dead, they almost make their own punishment, unable to move beyond. So in this way, naturally, how do you escape a mine? How do you find the exit? You find the way that the ghosts don't. You find the way that the ghosts aren't going, because the ghosts can't pass on their own. They can't see it. So you go where the ghosts don't see. This endeavor is more than a little taxing, though. Trying to think of what my 7 to 9 complication for you is. I think when you emerge from the mines into the night, it's out into camp. There are onlookers gathered around their own fires, mumbling about, the bravery of Graves, how he's probably not going to survive. But when you come out, for a moment, people are relieved, but then they're afraid, because for a brief moment, how does everyone on this mountain see that you are not human?
I think it's the first thing is very subtle, is when the light hits Graves' eyes, they reflect like a cat. And that's a little upsetting. And then just for a moment, as his hand pulls back these rocks, it's almost transparent. You can almost see the skeletal features under his skin. And it's almost like it's like a lightning flash. And despite it being brief, it is completely undeniable.
It's inevitable, one might say.
Ah.
Let's do the last prompt on the unseen. Chaotic. Johnny heads over to the dice tables before folks get suspicious. However, something about the design of the dice spooks Johnny. Describe the dice and what is different about them that convinces him to call it a night.
It's getting to be late in the evening. Most people have gone home at this point, cut their losses, but there is still that one person at the dice table who has this very wide rim hat, and they are like it shadows their face, so Johnny can't really see who's underneath too well. And the dice, as they are being rolled, they are black and red color. And they always seem to be going on for this other person, no matter what. Even if Johnny says, "Oh, can we play with like some of my dice because because mine are lucky," and the other person says, "No, these dice will always be fair, and they judge you." I think at that, Johnny just like gets up and starts to leave. And I think the person with the hat like tilts their head upward. And for brief moments, like an animal, their eyes gleam a little bit. And Johnny flees out into the night.
And do this last batch of scenes in reverse order. Graves, as you walk the night road back to El Paso, covered in dark and glittering with little flecks of metallic tin in there as well, smeared, your eyes reflecting the light like an animal. What are you thinking about at this moment? What's going through your head? What's in perspective now?
What I am to everything here. What it means to take my hand and leave this mortal coil. And that now I am subject to my own rules. And I don't want to be subject to my own rules. I can understand now why people beg and plead and make bargains and ask to play games just to avoid me, because this is a little unsettling. It's unsettling to be able to be snuffed out. And I think that there is a renewed desire to figure out why I'm here and fix it.
Since your complication was in equal parts, the narrative of coming out of the mine and visibly frightening the miners, it is also still going to be, I'm sorry, I'm being harsh, it is a fourth condition.
Hell yeah.
But I know you were angling to mark, what was it, the cosmic passage anyway?
Yeah, absolutely,
so
which
that
works perfectly.
That flows perfectly well. Is the scene is it the eyes? Is that what we're going with? The permanent aspect of death incarnate? Okay, cool. Yeah, I want to play that out. You can replace "You Let the Dead Alone" with "The Breaker of My Own Rules."
I love it.
As you walk back towards town, your shadow underneath the moonlight, dim as it may be, is always behind you. You, of all people, of all creatures, of all things in this universe, can never not have a shadow. It's just not always visible in how large its scope is. And here it stretches long. Dave, what do we find you doing in the aftermath, in the late evening, as the assemblage was concluded and the establishment cleared out? What do we see you doing?
Dave has we haven't seen this room before. It's mostly empty with a couple of tables, but it's full of people. It's Dave and Lola and Stretch and Marcus and Flapjack and maybe a couple of the dancers, some bartenders, some rough looking characters we've not seen before. And Dave is sitting at the table and he's like, we got to move everything. We got to move everything out of the mines. We've got to move it over. I don't want to do it. We have to move everything over to El Paso del Norte across the river, just for the time being. Like, I know it's going to, like, everybody's like, what? No. Just for the time being. because there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on the mines now, and we can't. It's too soon. So let's move everything out of the mine. At Paso del Norte, across the river. Flapjack, you take lead on that, and so that we just see him making plans as an aftermath of the assemblage.
I love it. You're a man of many plans. And Harrington, you're back at the office, back at the cell, at your desk, reviewing notes and thoughts, things that were brought up during the assemblage. The most immediate curiosity, this will be the one concrete clue you get, is the fact that you look in your hand a Texas Ranger badge, turning it over in your palm. One of the citizens attending the assemblage had found it down at the banks of the Rio Grande, like just like kind of like partially buried. So that is your first clue. The matter of the two unavailable clues for Clear Springs. It's a net had, maybe it was a net or maybe it was someone similar, had just mentioned that there was actually a Clear Springs citizen who was buried in the El Paso graveyard. If you want that clue, you need to go corpse digging. As for the blue boy, this whole new affair, I have options. I'm never sure which one I want to do. Let me review something really fast. Well, I mean, Wellington was the one, like her butler was the one who brought the affair to your attention. So I think this actually fits that it's something that he could present. That's what I was mulling over. And he has given you an opportunity, which is that he has he will leverage a meeting with Alma Stackpole for you at her residence, like, you know, amidst her busy schedule. He's kind of like, you know, gonna nudge that in the right direction, that if you but it's done under the auspices of you supporting the blue boy. Like, it's like since Alma's so devoted to it, if you go to her with an enthusiasm, you know, and almost like an agreeable nature about this supposed haunting that she is very much obsessed with, she is more likely to let slip or even show you things that she might not even show Wellington. So a manipulatable case there. You're mulling over the events of the evening as you're hanging out here, and in the moment's silence, in your peripheral vision, you see the shape leaning up against the bars, the voice that follows. Most busy evening out there tonight, Marshal. I could hear it all the way from my little cot. You sounded awful busy.
Yes, it was very, very busy nights. People are most troubled here in El Paso, but I think things are looking up.
Oh, Marshal, folks are troubled the whole world over, as I understand it. Though, if you think things are looking up, I'm afraid you might need to reorient yourself head to the ground. I'm concerned that you are dangling from your feet, if you take my meaning.
Hmm.
Up is down, down is up, left and right. All things are spinning. Sometimes it's hard to tell where you stand.
Maybe. But, well, several things have been resolved tonight.
I am elated to hear that, Marshal. You are doing this community a great service.
But I do have a question for you, Del Sol.
Oh, I would love to hear it. And please call me by my first name.
I don't think I shall. God, God damn it, Daniel.
Bobby, he's what he put in the chat. Bobby Del Sol.
But you seem to be awfully fascinated with me. Why is that? I'm not supposed to be anyone special, am I?
I wasn't aware that I was fascinated with you, Marshal. Whatever
Well,
gave you the impression?
well, you keep on getting drunk and ended up in my cell. There's got to be a certain fascination with either alcohol or me.
I've said it once and I'll say it again, Marshal. It is you who says drunk. I simply say sleep it off.
Sleep it off.
Have you ever considered that it is not necessarily you, but it's here? I don't remember if we've been acquainted prior to your tenure as the Marshal. Do you?
We both know what that answer is. And we both know that I cannot talk about it.
He leans back away from the bars and gives a luxurious stretch. A soft little moaning sigh escapes his lip as he scratches at a small spot in his back. Very well, Marshal. It's your game. We're just playing it. He sits down. So tell me, something lays heavy on your mind. What, pray tell, is it? You've been talking an awful lot with her.
Yes, she seems to be wanting to detach herself from El Paso, but at the same time want to make use of its resources. I don't think that should be allowed. But then again, there's other players on the board. I've noticed that the newest Vigilance Committee member, Dave, he's been really trying to make all sorts of connections with the local powerhouses, as it were. He's wanting to do something. I don't know what it is.
There are all sorts of hidden truths lying behind doors. Well, sometimes they're waiting to grow from their seedlings sown in the past. Sometimes you can't see what hasn't yet grown, no matter how long it's been waiting there.
That is true. And I think I shall continue to wait still, even.
Very well, Marshal. I'm no stranger to it myself. Though, if I might give you a polite little nudge, if and you're agreeable to it.
I would be agreeable.
That woman, I assume she spun you a tale, told you a story, perhaps even a myth or two.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that affair? If and you have any.
It's mostly half truths. I don't think she truly trusts me quite yet. But she thinks that she knows something about you.
Whatever, pray tell, does she think she knows about me?
Probably just some lies, really.
Oh, I am a arbiter of many truths and mistruths. I would very much like to hear her interpretation. By all means, enlighten me, Marshal. What did she say?
The only truth is that you are very old, but you are very powerful and could easily crush El Paso to smithereens if you truly wanted to. But I don't think you would do that. I don't think that's in your nature. You like to watch.
Oh, well, that's certainly a tale indeed. How on earth did Lady Antonia impress upon you such a notion? What yarn did she spin that around?
Well, for starters, you know I like my mischief, right?
I've indeed seen your share of it.
Well, I figured that's, well, I was trying to resolve the case with Graves about his family trying to, well, effectively kill him.
Oh,
But he
I'm
just,
aware. I'm aware of that fact, Marshal. You don't need to tell me none. I'm
Mhm.
aware. I'm flattered, but it was a reckless thing you did.
Yeah, it was. Because, well, because for the most part, I think people consider you, they don't really consider you. You you are subtle, but she knew you. She recognized you, and then she's tried to strike out at what she thought was you. I don't like that. I consider you a friend, Del Sol.
You're gonna make me blush, Marshal. What story did she tell you?
She called you the Wanderer.
Let me guess. She likened me to some myth.
Mm-hmm. Some myth, other than a fact of reality.
I'd hazard a guess that she used the story of Prometheus. Huh.
Yes.
He like leans back up a bench and he says, "That is, of course, preposterous. I am not Prometheus. I am the liver." And I will end the night phase there.
What does that mean? Andrew Harrington is playing a very dangerous game. thinks he's smarter than everyone, but he's not.
Let's take a 5-minute break. All right, let's go through the dawn phase. We don't have any rewards to hand out, so we're going to do dawn questions. Since Wes is not here, we're going to retroactively decide for Mother Calvo about things. I'm trying to remember the things Mother Calvo did last session of trying to convince someone to do the right thing. Yes, she did try. She did try to do that. That's true. Like in the monastery, because she
In
was
the
like,
monastery,
yeah, she
and
did.
that entire fire and brimstone thing she did of
Yeah.
like,
Did she speak on matters of theology with anyone who would listen?
yes.
I mean, yeah, she
Yeah.
did. Was there a question answered last time?
No.
No. Okay.
It looks like it,
And I think that is it. All right, so I'll just go ahead and oh, hey, Mother Ruth got an advance.
Oh, look at that. She's
Well-
not even here.
Not even here, but she gets one. Graves, did you experience an echo in the night?
I don't think so. I kind of tried to give it like to others with the gun thing and the getting shot thing. I think it might have been a little too vague because we're in the Wild West. So I didn't experience one.
Gotcha. Did you punish a wayward soul by sending it back to the spirit realm? No, you did not.
No, but I did have a lot of thoughts about the human condition.
Yes, you did. A lot of them. You can mark a tick there. Diamond Dave, did you experience an echo in the night?
Yes, he fiddled with his sleeves like Johnny Franklin.
Yeah. Did you share your grand vision for the future of El Paso? Yes, you did with Lady Antonia.
I was trying to, but
yeah, it was more about like the Reynolds, but it did like factor in, it was implied that, we've established that you have had like dealings with the Reynolds before anyway. So part of their plan is your plan. So yeah. Did you get your hands dirty to get the job done right?
not maybe with evacuating people upstairs, but maybe I don't.
I think that's a bit of a stretch. No, you can take the 2 though. And then Harrington, did you experience an echo in the night?
Yes, I echoed several points.
Did you deliver a cold monologue about the cruelty of justice?
Not really. Harrington has been really optimistic.
Did you abuse your badge to get the upper hand?
Again,
I don't think so.
Harrington
Yeah.
did.
No,
I did, but
you did, but Harrington didn't.
Harrington did not.
All right. Well, you take a point.
A point.
A point. Did we have any outstanding Janice Mass prompts? I don't believe so.
No.
All right, then let's go to stars and wishes, ending a little bit before time. And yeah, whoever wants to go first, please take it away.
I can. Let's see, Alex, you went really hard. I think a star for Alex, just for I think you personally, and if you didn't, it seemed like you did. You had like a fun time with this night phase. Like this was your phase. And it seemed like you were having fun. So big star for that. And going hard on those early rolls those early low rolls that we had. Great description, Alex, of the Ghost Riders as they're confronting the Marshal in front of the Red Rock. It was you really painted the scene there, and also finally Diamond Dave no longer is getting yelled at by Lady Antonia, so that's good. Making progress. Star for Chaotic. I loved actually star for both Chaotic and Narr on the unseen with Johnny Franklin and the gemstone. But the charitable comment, I was trying to think, how can I do that? The charitable comments to take away the sting. That was Chaotic's. And then just Chaotic's, Marshal Harrington's running out of mask and you're just walking into the face of danger without even thinking about it. So big star for the bravery of Harrington. Narr, there's a few things going on there. One is is Graves starting to panic, and that shaping that coming across as to death as being unsettling. It's like we saw a lot of bleed between Graves the Mortal and Death Incarnate, and your mass with that whole mass with earning respect, the humans earning respect with your time doesn't matter monologue. You're rolling for death, star for that to see if you're going to die or not. And those are my stars. Wishes, I went ahead and marked, have you met my associates? So we're giving Alex a whole bunch of new side characters So my wish is to start bringing those in and seeing Alex's portrayal of some of these folks, all who which I went to high school with, by the way. These are all names of people from high school. I just mixed up their names.
I need more hats.
That's mine.
Did you want to go or I go?
I could go. Yeah, a star for Diamond Dave. My God, like you just given the key to my house? Like, come on now. Like, we're co-working together. Doesn't mean I'm her friend. Please. Like, I don't need her there. I will fight you, Diamond Dave. Uh, uh, Graves, man, be rolling to decide whether or not Graves retires or not. Wild. Rolling a 7 on the dot. Wild. Uh, just just trying to deal with the dead. Wild. Alex, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna get Dr. Clarkson in just by bring him in, and we're gonna have a good old time. And I just like roll the miss, let's go. And you're like, okay, I guess. Sorry about that. I'm a menace to society. Uh, who's the real threat, me or the ghosts? Questionable. Also, a really good conversation with Del Sol. Well, I tried to get one over on both Del Sol and Lady Antonia, and I am not, probably. I don't think so. I'm I'm just like, well, Lady Antonia doesn't like Del Sol. That much is obvious, but like she probably thinks that they'll destroy the town, but I don't think that. I think Del Sol thinks it's too fun to like have this town just struggle with ghosts. But it's a real good time. We're making friends. Uh, the town may stop calling me a slimy bastard. We're hoping, we're praying. It's not a wish, but however, we're hoping.
That's amazing. I want to bounce right off of what Chaotic said about the conversation with Del Sol. Alex, the phrase, I'm not Prometheus, I'm the liver, that's so fucking wicked. I don't know if you pre-write some of
I
Del
did.
Sol's
No, that one
lines.
I pre-wrote.
Because I was like, some of the shit you say as Del Sol is so awesome. It's like so intense, and I just love it to death. Like, what a cool ass way to like use this side character to drive the meta narrative of this world alongside Lady Antonia. Like this, the mythos that Harrington is weirdly involved in. You do like a really fabulous job. It's always such a joy to watch. Exact. Also, that line that I'm not one to kiss and tell Marshall, but yeah, Daniel just put that in the chat. Del Sol delights me, utterly delights me. So does Lady Antonia. So does every single side character you bring in. The way you describe, like they said, the way you described the Rangers was super cool. The way you described the ghosts in the mine were really cool. I appreciate it when you go hard. I know you were apologizing for going hard when I missed. I love it. That shit, I live for it. Delicious. Delicious. It's so good. You were like, I'm going to bring so many ghosts into the night phase. There's going to be 100 ghosts. You're going to hate it. And it's great. It's delightful. I love it. And also I have to credit Vin Vox for the rolling thing. That's what he does. I didn't make that up. But it was, yes, fabulous. Fabulous pacing, Alex. Andrew Harrington. I love I love that you're trying to like pull one over on arguably people who are like in power, quote unquote. Like, and also that you as a player chaotic, we're like, I'm gonna take this miss. That way I can save everyone. and then be the hero. Like, even though that was not Harrington being manipulative, that is such a Harrington way of thinking. And like the fact that you did that as a player just tickles me. Absolutely tickles me. I love the assemblage. I love every time you do that. The fact that you were like just dropping Lady Antonia's personal business in front of everyone, that's awesome and definitely won't come back to bite you at all, ever, just like nothing ever will.
I gave her a silver mine. More does she want from me?
What more could a woman want? She has a silver mine. Like, I am very excited to see the consequences of Harrington's actions every day, all the time. Utterly delightful. And Diamond Dave. My goodness. I love the line that you're like, I'm only on chapter 2 with the book. That's I love Diamond Dave's entire attitude towards this, and I like that we're kind of getting to finally see him be a little more
Evil?
two-faced. Yeah. I was gonna say two-faced. Like this with you handing Lady Antonia this key. You're always like upbeat and friendly, but there is this like power to Diamond Dave as a person. You can tell he's a person of influence, and we're finally getting to see him exert it in a way that I don't think any of the other characters can, because he is the bootstrapper. He is like super ingrained in El Paso, and he's got these ulterior motives. And the fact that he doesn't dislike the mastermind, always just, I love it. Oh, that's so delicious that you're just like, oh yeah, no, she's like, she's got this. She's got she's cool. We love the train. We want the train here. It'd be great for business. And arguably, in a regular world, it might be. I love Diamond Dave. I like this sort of underhanded shit he's doing. I'm excited to see why he did this, why he gave this key to Lady Antonia, and what that means. I'm so excited. Those are all my wishes, just to see consequences. I just want to see the consequences of all the things that we have done tonight and what Mother Ruth is doing in Clear Springs, probably whipping monks. But other than that, you know.
Awesome. Yeah, this was fun. I want to say big star to B for that moment in the mine. I was caught entirely by surprise. The fact that you wanted to pull a Vinvox and you rolled. If you had retired there, that would have been wild. I was gobsmacked that that was even a thing that was being considered. I love it when players do that. But I absolutely did not see that coming. So that was great. That was a real moment of I felt the tension. I was on edge. Also, a huge star to Chaotic. I like the way you framed your narrative around the idea of like, this is good for PR. Because yes, Harrington kind of sucks. And I love the fact that even when he's being a hero, you need to take the time to be like, it's PR. Like it is, he is a bad person. He is playing the role. So your cognizance of the character you're playing is really admirable. And I like just reaffirming the journey he's on. Daniel, I gotta say, that fit with the key. Again, carpet out from under me. I don't know what the thought behind that was, but it was great. It was juicy. So that was huge props. Most of what I was going to start anyway has already been said, but just to touch on just a couple more. Loved everyone's unseen prompts tonight, especially because they ended up echoing really well, like one after the other, and y'all were really hitting the thematic beats pretty strong. It was great. I love the detail of the razor underneath Dave's sleeve as well. So that was just overall a lot of fun, and I am looking forward to having Wes back. We need mastermind clues. It's time for the siege has got to come, but then we also have like after that 5 more that we got to get. I need to start just handing out like candy at this point, just to be like, hey man, we gotta go full steam ahead on this train towards the finish line.
I mean,
And I've got a ton of masks, and so we just need Diamond Dave.
to investigate.
We need Diamond Dave out in the streets, and I can bump up. I can get us some mastermind clues because he's rich in mask because he's late in the game, so we should use that to push this train down the tracks.
Hell yeah! Any other stars or wishes? then I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.